Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radhamadava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yasoda Nandana Brajana Ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radhamadava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Brahman Rajikacharya Sattva Sattva Shishmari Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Sankirtan Yoga Ki Jai. All glories to Sama devotees. Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. So that verse is a ways down the road. Probably there's no purports for a while. So I'm going to be chanting about, 15 verses. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 8. The sons of Sagara meet Lord Kapila Dev, text 25. Janmaya rachitar lokhe vastu buddhya grihadishu brahmantikama labirasya mohava vibranta chetasaha. Translation. O my Lord, those whose hearts are bewildered by the influence of lust, greed, envy, and illusion are interested only in false hearth and home in this world created by your Maya. Attached to home, wife, and children, they wander in this material world perpetually. Text 26. Adhyana sarvabhutna mam kama karmendriya sayaha mohapaso dridastino bhagavam stvavatarshanat. O super soul of all living entities, O personality of Godhead, simply by seeing you, I have now been freed from all lusty desires, which are the root cause of insurmountable illusion and bondage in this material world. Sri Sugavacha itam gitanubhavastam bhagavan kapilo munihi amsumantam uvachedam anugrayadyanarpa. O King Parikshit, when Amsuman had glorified the Lord in this way, the great sage Kapila, the powerful incarnation of Vishnu, being very merciful to him, explained to him the path of knowledge. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asvoyam Niyatam Vatsa Pita Mahapasustava Imecha Pitaro Dagda Gangambo Rahanti Netarat. The personality God had said, my dear Amsuman, here is the animal sought by your grandfather for sacrifice. Please take it. As for your forefathers who have been burnt to ashes, they can be delivered only by Ganges water and not by any other means. Tam parikramya sirasa pasadya hayam anayat sagaras tena pasumna yagyat sesham samapayat. Thereafter Amsuman circumambulated Kapila Muni and offered him respectful obeisances, bowing his head. After fully satisfying him in this way, Amsuman brought back the horse meant for sacrifice, and with this horse Maharaj Sagara performed the remaining ritualistic ceremonies. Text 30. Rajyam Amsumate Nyasya Nispriho Mukta Bandanaha Arvo Padishtamargena Lebegatim Anuttamam. After delivering charge of his kingdom to Amsuman and thus being freed from all material anxiety and bondage, Sagara Maharaj follow the means instructed by Aurva Muni, achieved the supreme destination. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 9th canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Sons of Sagara Meet Lord Kapila Dev. So that finishes up chapter 8. Starting a new chapter, 9, the dynasty of Amsuman. This chapter describes the history of the dynasty of Amsuman up to Katvanga, and it also describes how Bhagirath brought the water of the Ganges to this earth. The son of Maharaj Amsuman was Dilipa, who tried to bring the Ganges to this world, but who died without success. Bhagirath, the son of Dilipa, was determined to bring Ganges to the material world, and for this purpose he underwent severe austerities. Mother Ganges, being fully satisfied by his austerities, made herself visible to him, wanting to give him a benediction. Bhagirath then asked her to deliver his forefathers. Although Mother Ganges agreed to come down to earth, she made two conditions. First, she wanted some suitable male to be able to control her waves. Second, although all sinful men would be freed from sinful reactions by bathing in the Ganges, Mother Ganges did not want to keep all these sinful reactions. These two conditions were subject matters for consideration. Bhagirath replied to Mother Ganges, "The personality Godhead, Lord Shiva, will be completely able to control the waves of your water, and when pure devotees bathe in your water, the sinful reactions left by sinful men will be counteracted." Bhagirath then performed austerities to satisfy Lord Shiva, who is called Asutosa, because he is naturally satisfied very easily. Lord Shiva agreed to Bhagirath's proposal to check the force of the Ganges. In this way, simply by the touch of the Ganges, Bhagirath's forefathers were delivered and allowed to go to the heavenly planets. The son of Bhagirath was Shruta, the son of Shruta was Nabha, and Nabha's son was Sindhudvipa. The son of Sindhudvipa was Ayutayu, and the son of Ayutayu was Rituparna, who was a friend of Nala. Rituparna gave Nala the art of gambling and learned from him the art of Asvavidya. The son of Rituparna was known as Sarvakama. The son of Sarvakama was Sudasha, and his son was Shodasa. The wife of Shodasa was named Damayanti or Madhyanti, and Shodasa was also known as Kalmasapada. Because of some defect in his fruitive activities, Shodasa was cursed by Vasistha, who became a Rakshasa. While walking through the forest, he saw a Brahmana engaged in sex with his wife, and because he had become a Rakshasa, he wanted to devour the Brahmana. Although the Brahmana's wife pleaded with him in many ways, Shodasa devoured the Brahmana, and the wife therefore cursed him, saying, "As soon as you engage in sex, you will die." After 12 years, therefore, even though Shodasa was released from the curse of Vasistha Muni, he remained sonless. At that time, with Shodasa's permission, Vasistha impregnated Shodasa's wife, Madhyanti. Because Madhyanti bore the child for many years, but still could not give birth, Vasistha struck her abdomen with a stone, and thus a son was born. The son was named Asmaka. The son of Asmaka was known as Balika. He was protected from the curse of Parashuram because of being surrounded by many women, and therefore he is also known as Narikavacha. When the entire world was devoid of Kshatriyas, he became the original father of more Kshatriyas. When the entire world was devoid of Kshatriyas, he became the original father of more Kshatriyas. He is therefore sometimes called Mulaka. From Balika, Dasarath was born. From Dasarath came Adividi, and from Adividi came Visvasaha. The son of Visvasaha was Maharaj Katvanga. Maharaj Katvanga joined the demigods in fighting the demons and was victorious. And the demigods therefore wanted to give him a benediction. But when the king inquired how long he would live and understood that his life would last only a few seconds more, he immediately left the heavenly planets and returned to his own abode by airplane. He could understand that everything in this material world is insignificant, and thus he fully engaged in worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Text 1. Am I going too fast? We got a lot to read. Text 1. Sri Sukha Uvacha no, this is a different one. Okay. This is now we're going to read 1 through 4 and then 5. Sri Sukha Uvacha Sumamscha Tapastepe Ganganayana Kamyaya Kalam Mahantam Nasaknot Tatha Kalena Samstitaha. Sukadev Goswami continued, King Amsuman, like his grandfather, performed austerities for a very long time. Nonetheless, he could not bring the Ganges to this material world, and therefore in due course of time he died. Text 2. Didipas tatsutas tadvad ashakta kalam eivan bhagiratas tasya sutas tepesa sumahatapaha. Like Amsuman himself, Dilipa, his son, was unable to bring the Ganges to this material world, and he also became a victim of death in due course of time. Then Dilipa's son, Bhagirath, performed very severe austerities to bring the Ganges to this material world. Tarsayam asatam devi prasanna varadasmite ityuktasvam Viprayam sasam saivanato nirpaha. Thereafter, Maharaj Ganges appeared before King Bhagirath and said, I am very much satisfied with your austerities and am now prepared to give you benedictions as you desire. Being thus addressed by Ganga Devi, Mother Ganges, the king bowed his head before her and explained his desire. Purport. The king's desire was to deliver his forefathers, who had been burnt to ashes because of disrespecting Kapila Muni. Text 4. Kopi taraita vegam patantya me mahitale anyata bhutalam vitva nipatyasye rasatalam. Mother Ganges replied, When I fall from the sky to the surface of the planet Earth, the water will certainly be very forceful. Who will sustain that force? If I am not sustained, how I shall pierce the surface of the earth and go down to Rasatala and Patala area of the universe. Text 5. Kim chaham na bhuvam yasye naramai amrajantyagam mrjami tat agam dva kvaham Rajams tatra vachintyatam Kim chaham na bhuvam yasye Naramai amrajantyagam Mjami tadagam kvaham Rajams tatra vachintyatam. Majis? Kim Bhavam Yasye Namayam Rajantyagam Jamita Lagam Kaham Jam Satra Vichintitam Kim Shaham Bhavam Yasye Naramaya Emergentyagam Jamitat Agam Paham Rajam Statra Vichintitam Kimcha also Aham I Na not Bhuvam to the planet Earth Yasye Shogo Nara the people in general Mai in me, in my water. Amrajanti, cleanse. Agam, the reactions of their sinful activity. Mrajami, I shall wash. Tat, that. Agam, accumulation of sinful reactions. Kva, unto whom? Aham, I. Rajan, O king. Tatra, in this fact. Vichintyatam, please consider carefully and decide. Translation. O king, I do not wish to go down to the planet Earth, for there the people in general will bathe in my water to cleanse themselves of the reactions of their sinful deeds. When all these sinful reactions accumulate in me, how shall I become free from them? You must consider this very carefully. Please repeat. O king, I do not wish to go down to the planet Earth, for there the people in general will bathe in my water to cleanse themselves of the reactions of their sinful deeds. When all these sinful reactions accumulate in me, how shall I become free from them? You must consider this very carefully. Supreme Personality Godhead said, Sarvam Dharmam Prityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshasyami Ma Sujaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Bhagavad Gita 18. Anybody know that one? I'm just kidding. The Supreme Personality Godhead can accept the reactions of anyone's sinful deeds and neutralize them, because he is pavitra, pure, like the sun, which is never contaminated by any worldly affection. Chajiyasam na doshaya vane sarvabhujo yata. Bhagavatam 10:33-29. One who is very powerful is not affected by any sinful activity. But here we see that Mother Ganges fears being burdened with the sins of the people in general who would bathe in her waters. This indicates that no one but the Supreme Personality Godhead is able to neutralize the reactions of sinful deeds, whether one's own or those of others. Sometimes a spiritual master, after accepting a disciple, must take charge of that disciple's past sinful activities, and being overloaded must sometimes suffer, if not fully, then partially, for the sinful acts of the disciple. Every disciple, therefore, must be very careful not to commit sinful activities after initiation. The poor spiritual master is kind and merciful enough to accept the disciple and partially suffer for that disciple's sinful activities. But Krishna, being merciful to his servant, neutralizes the reactions of sinful deeds for the servant who engages in preaching his glories. Even Mother Ganges feared the sinful reactions of the people in general and was anxious about how she would counteract the burden of these sins. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation repeated. O King, I do not wish to go down to the planet Earth, for there the people in general will bathe in my water to cleanse themselves of the reactions of their sinful deeds. When all these sinful reactions accumulate in me, how shall I become free from them? You must consider this very carefully. So here we see, it's been a while since I read Canto 9, but my understanding is we have some great personalities trying to deliver their forefathers, right? And Krishna's basically saying through, I think it was Kapila, that only the Mother Ganges water can deliver them, right? Okay, so look at the level of difference in Kali Yuga as back then. We have people really caring about their elders, really truly caring about them, not exploiting them. That I'd like to point out, first of all. Secondly, how determined they were, and I'm not saying the first two weren't determined. They were determined. They failed in the mission, according to Bhagavatam. And then, was it Bhagirath? Yes, King Bhagirath performed severe austerities and was fully determined and caught Mother Ganges' attention and so forth and so on from there. So I just wanted to discuss a little bit about, you know, I'm not going to say that Bhagirath was a greater personality than these other two, but maybe we can discuss, you know, a little bit about determination and properly directed determination. If we want Krishna Prema, which is the only thing that will satisfy us, if we really want to destroy this beast called lust in the heart completely for good forevermore, we need to awaken pure love of God, Krishna Prema. And I assume that's why we're all here. But we see throughout time, people take it up and they give it up. And we see great personalities lasting a long time and continuing on very staunchly and very strongly. So, obviously, determination and continuing on under all costs is something worth considering and talking about. So, how can we have this kind of determination for attaining Krishna Prema? And automatically our forefathers are delivered if we become a totally pure devotee. Right? So, anybody have some thoughts on the matter? Any ideas as to how we can become more, how we can attain this Krishna Prema? Prabhu, could you speak first? You're the wonderful soul.
How to attain Krishna Prema? Some general principle, if we have to associate with people who possesses Krishna Prema. So serving and associating with such a carriers of Krishna Prema will bring us to there. So we have to dedicate ourselves to that. That's one idea.
Thank you very much. That's a wonderful point. So what are we doing here? We have Srila Prabhupada, who definitely was in Krishna Prema, or, you know, has Krishna Prema, and he can give it to others. Krishna can give it to others through by serving the Prabhupada. We gain the qualities of Prabhupada. So we're all in that mission together. There's so many factors involved to stay determined, to not let your mind, material desires arise. We see that from making offenses to Vaishnavas, material desires arise. We see that in, who is that nice example? In CC, we have one devotee who is blaspheming his guru at the time of death. Was that Madhavendra Puri? No, but who is the spiritual master? Was Madhavendra Puri, right? Yeah, so he had a couple disciples. One was cleaning up his stool. Am I correct? Madhavendra Puri, right? Ishvara Puri is cleaning up the stool of Madhavendra Puri? Yeah. And then Rama, was it? Something like that, was making offenses to Madhavendra Puri at the time of death. So we see, I'm sorry, what's that? Could you use the microphone, because it's hard to hear?
He tried to instruct his spiritual master. He told the spiritual master to meditate on the Brahman.
Yeah.
Very offensive. Yeah.
Thank you for adding that. Appreciate it. So from that, we have material desires arising in one, and the other getting Krishna Prema. So we see the result of serving nicely in the association of devotees. It's one thing doing your service very nicely. That's one thing. Brigapati Prabhu, you know, we have a few book distributors here. Maybe many of you are out distributing as well. You know, Brigapati's, I was shocked when he told me this. He says, spiritual life is 50%, you know, you're doing your service and 50% cultivating healthy relationships, Vaishnava relationships. 50%, God, that's a lot of energy. We see Radhanath Swami Maharaj putting a lot of energy into that as well. So it's important that we have nice Vaishnava relations. And because we see many people doing big, getting puffed up, making aparads, and they're gone. From these aparads, thinking that you're better, leads to, problems. And we see this over and over and over and over and over again. So we'd like to put maybe a little bit of energy into, imagine if everybody in this room just stays with it to the end, nonstop, uninterrupted. That would be ecstatic, wouldn't it? If everybody in this room just understood some basic concepts so they can continue on nonstop and then teach others, because if you're going nonstop, you can teach other people also how to do that. So that's really wonderful. So putting a little energy into this is probably worth it. Hopefully I can hear the words as well and apply them in my life. So serving nicely in the association devotees is imperative. First of all, associating with devotees. Prabhupada says spiritual life outside of the association devotees is hallucination. So the tendency is to have this mode of ignorance, creep in too much, or whatever, and too diseased of a state or whatever, or just not apply like Bhagirath did here. What is it? Severe austerities? Very, very severe austerities. Being willing to do that is important. We have to get up, rise before 4 a.m. What do we see over there? It says in the wall, I'm sure many of you have read it that are living here. It's very important. Prabhupada says that if you don't follow all these rules staunchly, rising before 4 a.m., following the regular principles, attending the morning program, this and that, then you will fall down. So who wants to fall down? My God. Here we have this incredible opportunity. Krishna was just here 5,000 years ago. Lord Chaitanya doesn't appear very often and was here 500 years ago. We have all the teachings, Srila Prabhupada, a pure representative from the spiritual world, coming down, giving us everything perfectly, giving us all chances to attain the goal in this lifetime. And what are we going to do? Just lax on some discipline? That is not the way to go. And also, we got to, anybody who's taking up truly practice of Krishna consciousness has compassion awakened in their hearts and wants everybody to go back to the spiritual world. So if we're not following very strictly, very staunchly, what can we give somebody else? I can teach you how to follow not so strictly, not so staunchly. And then you got a whole bunch of people, that are in substandard category. And they can't only teach substandard stuff. This is the general tendency. So we need people to take it up very, very strictly. Being willing to be a servant of a servant of a servant. This is the solution. Because that person you're serving will cut you. You gotta rise now. Must. Up. Probably this force is required at the beginning. And all this junk comes out of the heart. And then as you continue, less junk, and then no junk. And then you can teach. And all the way along, if you're just following strictly and you still have junk in the heart, which I certainly do, you can still teach others how to do that. So we have to be serving properly. If we're trying to lord it over, that's the disease. Trying to lord it over, trying to get a position. I want my own Sankirtan van. What the heck is that? What does that have to do with anything at all? I want to go over here. I don't want to go over there. I want to adjust the material elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, in a certain way. If you just think about that, that's lunacy. I want to adjust Krishna's elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, in the form of whatever. I want to adjust them in a certain way. I mean, just think about that for a second. If you really just soberly think about that, it obviously is insanity. But in whatever form that comes in. I want that wife. I don't want that wife. I want, whatever it is. I want whatever it might be. So, simply, the only solution, really, to get out of that modality, that diseased state of wanting to adjust Krishna's elements in a certain way. The only way you get free of that is just by being a servant of a servant. There's no other way out. There's no other way. You're forced to imagine the adjustment of the elements when we veer from being a servant of a servant. One is a material desire, which Krishna will make it miserable for you. He has to. You want to not be a servant, then I must give you suffering. Must. Why? So that you will, because you're living in the material world now. Second, you want to do that, you want to live in the material world. Material world must be a place of suffering. Why? Because it's not home. It's not your home. It has nothing to do with reality. It's a mental concoction. You just have this mental concoction. I am enjoying this way. It's only a mental concoction and nothing more than that. It's a illusory experience. But if you're a servant of a servant and just, yes, master, regardless of whatever it is, whatever position we have, whatever service we have, whatever we have, and learning, cultivating the mood of satisfaction, that is pleasing to Krishna. And that is pleasing your authority. And from pleasing your authority, you are going to get the blessings from your authority, which means the blessings of the parampara. That is really it. There's nothing more than that in spiritual life. That's it. In summary, that's really it. Without that in place in one's mind, really staunchly in their mind, everything else will fall apart. Your following strictly will fall apart. Your whatever will fall apart. It will all, your material desires, you're forced to have material desires if you don't follow that strictly. And from that is just not spiritual life. You don't get the goal. So this is really the whole key to being able to have such determination, being able to perform very severe austerities for a long time, forever. Why for a long time? Forever. What does it matter if we're here in the spiritual world, if we're always just thinking of Krishna in a favorable way, just trying wherever we are to please Him, in separation or in union? What does it matter? I've got this post on earth now, and I'm serving Krishna through the agency of a bona fide spiritual master by carrying out his instructions. And whatever he says, I do. And I cultivate and I do all this sadhana that he's asking me to do, and so forth and so on, and do the service nicely, always thinking of Krishna. Perfect connection. There's no problem there. Maybe next lifetime. Maybe Prabhupada's over in some different universe, starting ISKCON over there, and we go there. Or we go back to spiritual world, wherever. What does it matter? So as long as we have this mood of proper motive operandi, then we get everything. We get the full mercy of God, to whatever degree we apply it. And we want to get rid of, at the same time, we want to get rid of those things that impede us from doing that purely. And thus we have to take seriously to the chanting of the holy name. We have to seriously take to the sadhana bhakti in a duty mode, as a form of duty. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says you must be in duty mode to get to the spontaneous mode. It's a form of duty, just like we're in an army. Got sergeant or captain or whatever, and we have Ramapad Swami Maharaj as the general, right? And you just serve nicely in this program. If you don't like that, material desires instantly crop up in your heart. But if you're intelligent, you go, I have a reaction that I don't like that, Maybe I should spend some more time reading Prabhupada's books, because why would I not like that? That's a pretty stupid thought. Let me just read Prabhupada's books more and understand this philosophy better and really realize and understand that that's a really crazy thought, and I don't want to have that thought anymore. And now I'm going to really chant the holy name to purify my consciousness from thinking those thoughts. Now we're talking somebody using their intelligence. And thus it really works. You really do get the result. You go climb up the ladder of, Shraddha, Nartanavritti, all the way up to Krishna Prema. You literally see yourself climbing the ladder. And it's ecstatic, going up and up, get ruchi and so forth and so on. You just gradually climb up the ladder. It's just like there's a ladder that goes to the top of this building. You just go like that. The sergeant goes, you just go like this, and then you go like that, put your foot there. Okay, now do it again. And you go, who are you to tell me what to do? I know what's going on. You grab it from the side, you bang it in your head. Get up this way. Crazy. No, just put your hand. You're trying to lord it over me. And you stop slipping down, You start sliding down. You start getting weak. A little rat there's chomping on your heel. So your foot can't grab the next ring so well. Whatever. So just yes, Master. At Bhagavad Gita, what do you think Krishna is wrong? Bhagavad Gita says just inquire submissively and render service. All the sadhus are saying, the Sikh Prabhupada is saying over and over and over again and again and again. I'm writing this book, I'm finding all these quotes to substantiate things, or actually to learn, honestly. And that Prabhupada actually is saying over and over and over again, the secret of success is just pleasing your authorities. Please your guru, just please your guru. Now, is your guru going to be happy? You got your immediate authority. Most people don't just serve guru directly. You have your immediate authorities. You think your guru is going to be happy if you just immediate authority? You just get out of my way. I'm just trying to please my guru. You think that the guru is going to be happy with that? Sorry, you're not going to get the mercy. You haven't understood. So we gotta hear Mother Ganges talking about our waves. Now I'm going to use a different thing. We have our tendencies. I'm not applied to Mother Ganges, but we have our waves of, crap. Condition. You just go like this to the knee and the foot goes up, right? Well, if somebody just tells you what to do, you have a knee-jerk reaction to do from ignorance, time immemorial, to react not properly. So how to control all that? Again, how will you control those reactions, that conditioning? Only by being a servant. You can't force yourself, bodily force your neck not to move and this and that. Only by being a servant of a servant. We see all those examples of all these yogis trying to force materially through mental power or physical power, failing in this. So how are you going to control this? You must be a servant of a servant. Then, by doing what Krishna wants, by surrendering to Him through His proper agencies, not the agencies that you like because they allow you to wake up at 7 a.m., like the bogey guru across the street. But the real gurus, they'll say, get up before 4. Period. Done. And then you attain the goal. So, surrender and abandon all right. Then all these sinful reactions, all this bag of stuff will go away. You can't. I remember before I came to Krishna Consciousness, I was doing so many juice fasting, meditating. I mean, it made some advancement. But this bag of stuff, the second I started distributing books, I got a book out. I noticed a whole bunch of this stuff that I knew was just stuff is no good for me in my being, in a subtle body or whatever, just be removed. A little bit at a time, but a lot at a time through book distribution. So this pleases Prabhupada tremendously, this book distribution. So we should all not have this tendency to go, oh, that's too difficult. Let me just, somehow I'm sick, Prabhuji. Let's really make the intelligent decision of taking it up, because that's how we really make rapid advancement. If authorities are saying us to do that, if authorities want us to wash pots, we should wash pots. But the point is being a servant of a servant, and I'm sure we all have opportunities for book distribution, trying to max that out for our spiritual growth and for the welfare of the world. Basically all the parampara is saying it's what's best for you and it's what's best for the world. So we don't want to minimize that. We only want to maximize that if it's what's best. So Prabhupada says everyone should learn the art of book distribution. Books are the basis. Everything leads to this one end. Everything culminates in this one end, book distribution. Why? Because here you are. Wonderful Prabhu spoke about how we need to associate with those in pure love of God and serve them. So Prabhupada is in his books. Everybody there's like what we distributed, not to brag, we distributed a bunch of literatures yesterday by Krishna's mercy only. And there are people there that are actually reading the books. They're associating with Prabhupada. They're associating with Prabhupada. I mean, what's the difference between associating with you or Prabhupada? Quite a bit, quite a bit. So, I mean, it's better that they associate with you than some karmi, but, associating with Prabhupada would be great. So we should lead people to Prabhupada's books. Encourage people to read Prabhupada's books. Listen to Prabhupada's. Encourage them to listen to Prabhupada's books, whatever way they can associate with Srila Prabhupada. And this way, they make rapid advancement. They figure things out, and they actually, it's not just like, like somebody's hungry, you just give him a meal. Well, he's now dependent on you to give him a meal. Or you can teach him how to farm, and he can grow his own meal. So within reading Prabhupada's books, we learn how to advance properly in spiritual life. You don't have to, feed them every second of the day or 3 meals a day. They can learn how to grow their own food and be satisfied spiritually. They can have that understanding. So, there's tons of things I could speak about regarding all this. We read a lot, so I don't know how much time we have, probably about 14 more minutes. I'll open up to questions. Any comments or questions? Many nice devotees here. Yes, Prabhuji. It's Giridhari now, Prabhu? Is that right? Hare Krishna. Wow. See, nice example. Determined, staying with it. Went through so much, I'm sure. I'm sure you went through a lot in your mind, so much. I know how it was, or how it is, and you stuck with it. It's a wonderful example of what I'm talking about. Thank you very much for being a Prabhu and helping other people do the same. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I'm wondering if you have an experience, on the other hand, of severe austerities, of like being too austere, because I've heard in some circumstances like austerity isn't also good for growing bhakti.
Yeah. So we'll make a comment on that? You had a question?
A question.
Yeah.
Just a question.
Okay. So that's a good point. I'm glad you brought it up, because when I read that, I thought that in my mind should be addressed properly. Severe austerities is fine as long as it is always in relation with the service of our authorities. If, for example, we're just instruments, Krishna in the heart's guiding us through our authorities, and we're just nicely we tune into that as we apply ourselves appropriately, we get more and more tuned in to Krishna's desire. So the ultimate is just like Prabhupada. Whatever Krishna wants, we do. Krishna wants me to get a book to that person. Whether I have to walk all the way across the parking lot or not is irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. In fact, if that's what Krishna wants me to do, I have to, my odometer, not to brag or anything, on my walk thing goes like 11 miles a day or something like that when I go to schools with a backpack. So I don't know if it's accurate, but it's a bit. So I will actually experience less fatigue if I just do what Krishna wants than if I don't. When I don't, that's when I experience fatigue. Because Krishna will fund you the energy for it. So that's the real understanding, the proper understanding of all this. Now, if you have a desire, your guru wants you to do 16 rounds and go out and distribute a lot of books. But you go, no, I want to perform very severe austerities and just chant 64 rounds, and I'll go out for an hour on books. That's gonna be messed up. That's going to mess you up. So it's a simple example. Or you want to stand on your head, do some hatha yoga for 4 hours a day, you know. Or you want to wash you want to do somebody else's service. All this stuff. There's so many ways to perform very severe austerities, but not in relation with Krishna. Not to mention, God, what they do out there. Or, you know, I would say out there, there's plenty of awesome grihastas. They're much more advanced than myself, that's for sure. But, you know, the average karmi, it's just it's severe austerity. You're doing the Grihamedi life. Very severe austerities, but for nothing. So it has to be very severe austerities. It doesn't matter how much austerity, as long as it's what Krishna wants. If Krishna wants me, is inspiring me in the heart to go walk all the way over there, I ate too much prasadam, and so this is good for me and good for them. I go way over there, and now I go way, and I know it's going to go way over, now car parking way over there, and I got to go way over there. You know, it doesn't matter how much. And then all of a sudden I'm getting a little fatigued, and the car pulls up right in front of me. You know, Krishna's in control of it all. You know, if we're just willing to surrender to that, it all works out perfectly. I needed that long distance to wear off that prasadam. I ate too much. And now I'm getting little bodies saying, hey, my knee's hurting a little bit. Oh, car pulls right up here. But the second I just don't surrender to that, then that's the problem. Is that okay? So we don't want to add extra stuff. That's the point. And you don't want to do less than what's required. So the solution to that is just being a servant of your authorities. Second, I want a position, and to get this position, I got to do this extra stuff. That's just going to harden your heart. That doesn't say that. You're just going to harden your heart with these extra austerities. Your heart's just going to get harder. You're going to start thinking you're better than another person. I'm better than this person. That thought and running with that thought is going to wear you down. You're going to experience fatigue. So be careful of all that. But if the authority wants me to not work so hard on books and train other people up on book distribution, then that's what you do. But no, what about my subtle sense gratification? I got to be number one. Oh no, this is you wearing yourself out. Just surrender. Think of Krishna's desire. What is Krishna's desire? Any other comments or questions? Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu. Go ahead.
Thank you, Paramesvara Prabhu. I found your presentation very refreshing, and I appreciate it very much. Especially, because it's something that, at least, in my Krishna consciousness was a very important part of my upbringing. And I agree with you. It's a principle. The principle of being the servant of the servant is the safest principle that will bring you through, will keep you in the association, in service to Krishna, Guru and Krishna, for a long time, all the way. You can go all the way to the end of your life with that. Even if you don't reach perfection, you still will be safe at the end of your life. And we have so many examples of that in the life of wonderful devotees who, by circumstance, they deviated from the service to Srila Prabhupada, but because they sincerely did their service in that mood, and they remain respectful and open to the service of the devotees, they would take him back home, back to Godhead. We see many examples. So it's the safest route to go back home, back to Godhead, and to remain in the association of devotees doing service. And one thing that I liked to comment is that even the principle is so strong that even if our authority falls apart, because we're serving the principle. We're serving the principle of being surrendered to our authority, being cooperating, because Prabhupada told us that. Prabhupada says, how you show love to him. That was his last instruction. He could have said, make so many devotees, become, this, be successful at that, open this, create that. No, he says you work in cooperation. In cooperation with what? In cooperation with the structure that he has given us. There is a structure to Krishna, to the Society for Krishna Consciousness. So we serve that principle. So anything can fall apart, but we serve that principle. I shared that I remember you mentioned Srila Radhanath Maharaj. I remember that we're doing Harinam in New York and in the mid-80s, and I remember a bus from New Vrindavan that was outside ISKCON at that time. Kirtanananda has been asked to leave ISKCON, and so New Vrindavan, and there was Radhanath Maharaj, part of New Vrindavan. Why? He explains later, because Prabhupada told him. So he was cooperating, he was fixed in serving the structure that he was giving. And, we see the results. Kirtanananda fell apart. Radha Maharaj is one of our great, saints, in our movement. So it's an important principle. Thank you very much for saying it in such a, strong way and bringing this message, because I also, like you, believe that is the most important principle that we embrace, to advance in Krishna consciousness. Thanks.
Now you had your hand up, Ananda, earlier. Should we go to you first?
I think I'm okay.
Oh, then we got Dasya. You had your hand up? What's that?
Yeah. You mentioned the ability to perform austerity comes from serving the authorities. And I'm just wondering, because sometimes to serve the authorities is also like austerity. So I'm wondering how you get the determination for that.
Well, what do you mean by sometimes to serve your authorities is an austerity? Maybe you could explain, please.
Well, I guess I'm just wanting some, like I realize that's obviously a big factor is pleasing your authorities, and then you get the power to perform austerities.
You get empowered, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I'm just wanting some, without lowering the potency of that standard, like wanting some other determination.
So in other words, in between surrendering to authorities, how do we get through that stuff in order to surrender to authorities? Yeah. So like to choose to surrender to authorities, how do we get, and we have this crap on the heart, how do we get through that crap to be able to surrender to authorities? Is that what you're saying? Or no?
Yeah.
Sure? That's the question?
Yeah, not so much just like, because someone may have that accept, okay, yeah, I need to accept my authorities, but sometimes they just have a lack of determination.
Well, I think it's just making the intelligent decision. If that's what you're speaking about, it's just making the intelligent decision. You read Prabhupada's books, obviously that's the answer to your spiritual life. If you want spiritual life, you want to go back home to Godhead, that's what you got to do. You got to get yourself a guru, you got to serve him. Right? I think it's just obvious. If you want this, then you got to do that. If you want a college degree, you got to attend the classes, you got to do the homework assignments, you got to do the readings. You gotta pass the exams. That simple as that. So you gotta show up, and you gotta do those things. So maybe I've missed your question.
So how do we get I guess the main thing, how do we get to have the strong
Desire to
unflinching
go to the
desire?
spiritual life?
Yeah,
Life? To go
yeah.
back home to Godhead?
Yeah, I guess that would come.
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's, Prabhu, can you answer that one? Or somebody else can answer that question? That's a nice question. How do we get the desire to go back to the spiritual world? How do we have the desire to attain Krishna Prema? To awaken Krishna Prema? How do we have that desire? I think he mentioned at the very beginning, associating with those that have that desire. Yeah, by associating with those that have that desire, you'll get the desire. You become like that. Prabhupada says, you become like that what you associate with. So Prabhupada, associate with Prabhupada, read Prabhupada's books, associate with those people that are fixed. That way you get fixed. If you want to be unfixed, then associate with those that are unfixed, but that's not smart. So just making the intelligent decision. Whatever you want, whatever you have the conditioning and liking for, but you're just making the intelligent decision and acting on that intelligent decision. That's an act of sincerity. And as simple as that. It's the most intelligent decision to make. Who cares what you want and this and that? That's all. You now want what's most intelligent. Right? Doesn't that make sense? I mean, there's a reason why you're not going to have stool this morning. You're not going to honor stool this morning. You're going to honor prasadam. Right? There's a reason. Because it's a more intelligent decision to make. Right? So just make that with everything. Who cares what I desire and what it's just all an irrelevant plane. It's an irrelevant thought. It's all based on a false conception of reality. So now let me just make the intelligent decision. I'm spirit soul, I'm a servant of Krishna. That's what the books say, what Prabhupada says. Okay, I see it work. Obviously it's working better than anything else. Telling me to read this book, okay, hey, this makes perfect sense. Let me just apply it. Answers all my questions to my full satisfaction. Let me just go ahead now. When it says to do this, okay, I'll do that. As simple as that. I don't see how there's another something there. Who cares if I have this tearing up inside, who cares at all? What does it matter? It has nothing to do with reality. He says, let me just go and do this. Live in reality. It's great. Reality is much better than suffering. It's not even suffering. It's a conception of suffering. It's not even real suffering. Let me just live in reality. It's better. Better way to go. I'm happier in reality. That's basically it for me. If anybody wants to add or subtract to that, feel free. Is that okay? Maybe we can discuss this more. But makes sense to me. I mean, I'm going to have prasadam. I'm not going to have something else. Definitely this morning. Because why? It's just a smart thing to do. Get to see the deities. I mean, look how extensive. You got the deities. You got association with such amazing people. You got this nice service, nice foodstuffs. I mean, it's wonderful. Most wonderful life in all categories. Why not just choose that? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo.
Paramesvara Prabhu ki.